This is Gemara Zevachim, Daf Nun Zayin. We're holding on Nun Vav Amid Beis. We're holding at the Mishnah, and once again, we like all the learning to be an incredible schos refuah shalema for Gavriel Simcha ben Miriam Ahuva. Teaches the Mishnah Bachar v'Maiser v'Pesach Kodshim Kalim. Continuing the theme, different karbanos are up to Kodshim Kalim. Says the Mishnah, the Bachar, all Meiser Karbanos, Karban Pesach, are Kodshim Kalim. What's the halacha of Kodshim Kalim? Teaches the Mishnah, Shchita Sam B'chol Makam B'Azara. Their Shchita is anywhere in the Azara. V'daman Tan Matanachas. And their blood, the dam, is applied one time. It has to be opposite the Yisoid. Shina Ba'achi Lasan. There's different ways of eating it. Shina from the lush of Mishoneh. It's different. There are different ways of eating it. Meaning, Habachar nechal kayanim. Bachar is only kayanim. V'maiser is the choladam. V'nachalim b'chalir v'chamachal. They can be eaten anyway in any city. For how long? L'shnei yamim. 2 days v'layla echad. HaPesach is different. The uniqueness of the Karban Pesach is only in a night. Ad chatzos, can only be eaten until midnight. Only those that were registered on the Karban. And it has to be roasted. So we continue different karbanos. This Mishnah teaching us Kodshei Kalim, and the Mishnah teaching the different forms of where they're allowed to be eaten and times that they're allowed to be eaten. So the Gemara begins in very classical sense. Man Tana, who is the Tana of our Mishnah? Amar Rav Chisda, Rav Yosi Aglili, 5 lines from the bottom. The Tani we learned in a Brayso. Rav Yosi Aglili Omer Chelba Eloi Ne'emar Ela Chelba. The pasuk about the Bachar says, Chelboy, it does not say, Chelboy, that you burn its fat. Rather, what does it say? Chelbam. Tamoyloi namar. Does not say that you're zoyrik its dam. Ela damam. Rather, their dam. What does that teach us? What does these psukim about the Bachar teach us? Limit al Bachar. Umaiser upesach. Teaches about the Bachar, about Meiser, about Karban Pesach, that what? That all of them, Shetunim Matan Damim, Ve'imureyem Legabe Mizbeach, that they have to put the dam and the imurim, the different parts of the Karban, upon the Mizbeach. Continues the Gemara. Keneged HaYisayid Min Alan. Okay. So now that you know from the limud from Bachar, you know it has to be put on the Mizbeach. But how do you know where it has to be put on the Mizbeach? The Mishnah said it has to be Keneged HaYisayid. Where do we know that? Last line, Amar Rav Eliezer, Asya Zrika Me'ayla. We learn it out from Gzer Shava by the Karban Ayla. Says Gemara, okay, great. V'ayla Gufei Minalan. If you're learning it out from the Ayla, so what is the Makar of the Ayla? Explains the Gemara. It says in the Torah, El Yisayid Mizbeach Ayla, at the Mizbeach, at the base of Zech Ayla, Liman al Aylas, Chayva Shatun Yisayid. So says the Gemara, Im Alal Nishtei Matan Shein Arba. Says Gemara, one second. We're learning out Bachar, Meiser, and Pesach from the Ayla. Ask Gemara 1 second. Ma'alahalon, when it comes to the Ayla, it needs Sheimatana Shein Arba. Afkan Sheimatana Shein Arba. But we know it's not true, because the Mishnah said there's only one Matan Damim by these Karbanos. Amar Abaye, Lama Li Lemichtav Saviv. Why did the Torah write that the dam is put all around the Mizbeach? Be'ayla by the Ayla. Why did it say Saviv v'chatos? Havish neksuvim, for the fact that the Torah explicated this word Saviv by the Ayla, by the chatos. You know what that teaches us? Havish neksuvim abayin kechad v'chol shneksuvim abayin kechad. Ein melamdin. So if we cannot learn out how many times the matan dam from the oil, because it's shnei ksuvim b'im kechad. Classically, the Gemara asks, there's an opinion that holds even Shnei Ksuvim B'in Kechad you yes learn from. Ma'ikal Amimar says Gemara Havi Asham Shloisha Vadei Melamdim says similarly by the Asham, therefore you certainly cannot learn from it. And now we go to the next part of the Mishnah, which the Mishnah taught us Shina Bachli Lasan, different ways of eating it, or more importantly, different people eat them. Says the Gemara, 10 lines down, the two dots. The first in the list was the Bachar. The Mishnah taught us who eats the Bachar. Kayanim. Tanu Rabbanon. How do we know? How do you know team for 2 days and a night? Shenemar. Says the Torah, the meat is like the chazeh, the breast, hatinufa that is waved, ukashaik, and the thigh hayamin of the right side. So from here we learn out ikishu akasav lechazav ishaik shel shlamim, and ma shlamim we know already. Nechol nishteyam leilechad, avachar nechol nishteyam leilechad. Says the Gemara, v'zu she'ila nish'alav mechachamim, and this was a question that was placed in front of the chachamim, famously where? Famously b'Keren b'Yavne. That what bechar lekama nechal? How long could a bechar be eaten? And then a Rabbi Tarfin v'amar l'shnei yomim leilechad. Hayisham talmid echad shebal lebeis hamedrash. So they're in Keren b'Yavne. Rabbi Tarfin teaches 2 days and a night, and there's a talmid over there that just came lifnei chachamim techila. Came from the chachamim the first time. And what was his name? The famous, the Heliger Rav Yossi Aglili Shemai. 6 lines from the Y lines. Amar Loi Rebbe. Says to Rav Tarfin, Minayim the already know this day of 2 days and a night. Amar Loi Bini Shlamim Kachim Kalim Ubachar Kachim Kalim. Ma Shlamim Ne'achalin L'shteyam V'layla Echad Avachar Ne'achal L'shteyamim V'layla Echad. The Makar, just like we just taught. Amar Loi. So Rav Yossi Aglili responds back to Rav Tarfin, Bachar Matana L'kayin V'chatas V'ashan Matana L'kayin. So it responds, Rav Yossi Aglili, 1 second. Machatas v'asham liyoim v'leila v'char liyim v'leila. Meaning, you're telling me to equate the bachar and learn it out from the shlamim. Wait, maybe you should be learned out from the chatas and the asham. So Amar Loi in the first Y line responds Rabbi Tarfin, Nidain davar midavar v'nilmad davar midavar. Says Rav Tarfin, we can learn one from the next and learn one from the next. What does that mean? Ma shlamim ein boyin al chait. We can learn out from the flavor, from the yisoid of what type of carbon it is. Explains Rav Tarfin on the second Y line. A shlamim does not come from Arveira. Af bachar einay bal chait. Mashal nechol nishtem leila echad. Af bachar nechol nishteyamim v'layla echad. So Amar Loi, Rav Yossi does not give up. On the 4th line, Rabbi Nidan davar mi davar yilma davar mi davar chatas v'yasham matana likayin bachar matana likayin. Meaning, very good that there's an equation in the fact that it's not an aveira. But what about the fact that it's similar to the chatas and the asham, klape, whom the carbon is given to, and therefore machatz v'asham in ban beneder v'dava, avachar in ban beneder v'dava, and therefore machatz v'asham nechon liyom echad, avachar nechon liyom echad. So Yossi clearly is not giving up, trying to figure out why are we saying that the bachar is like a shlamim. Kavatz Rebbe Akiva. So Rav Tarfin was one that started the conversation. But now Rav Yossi has another kasha. Rav Tarfin does not have a teretz. So 8 lines into the Y lines. The first one line is Echad. Kafatz Rabbi Akiva Ministalik Rav Tarfin. Rav Akiva jumps up. Rav Tarfin sits down. Amar lo. Rav Akiva responds. Hareyu Omer, the pasuk says, Ubesaram, and their meat. Yelecha Shabiliyu. This pasuk is quoting Chazei Atinufa. Shaykh Yamin Yelecha. Hekeshana Kasav the Chazav Shaykh Shal Shlamim. So we see a hekish. Mashal Nechol Shem Leilechad. So Amar Loi, Rabbi Yossi does not give up. You're equating it to the chazav v'shoik of the shlamim. Vani says Rabbi Yossi, and I, ma'akei shel chazav v'shoik shel toida. Ma toida nachol yom v'layla, av bechar nachol yom v'layla. So that's how I equate it. Amar Loi, Rabbi Kiva responds, Rabbi Yomer, Rabbi Sam yelacha, shein tam l'amar lecha. She'ain tam l'omer l'chayiyeh. So what do the pasuk have to say that? The Torah adds on another havaya, another being, another entity to the bachar. What's it adding on? That is not only like the Torah, but it's also like the shlamim. And when Rabbi Kiva's words were repeated to Rabbi Yishmael, Amar lehen, Rabbi Yishmael responds again. Rabbi Kiva's rebuttal and response to Rabbi Yisrael Glili, Rabbi Yishmael weighs in and he says, "So go out, v'imrul Rabbi Kiva ta'ita. Go tell Rabbi Akiva you made a mistake. Why? Because Taida Mechel Namdu we learn out the Taida from Ishlamim. Chidavar Alamid Behakish. Chayzer Malamid Behakish says we have a problem. If it all started from the Shlamim and if it was learned from a Hakish, it can't then go and teach another Hakish. Ha'in lacha lidain b'lashain achrain ella b'lashain rishain. We should not learn out from the lashain achrain the equation to the Taida, the lashain rishain to the equation to the Shlamim. Rabbi Yishmael ha'lacha yema of the but says more. But wait, Rabbi Kiva learned this from the extra psuk words of l'chayah. So what does Rabbi Yishmael do with that? Says the Gemara limit al bachar balmum. Shehu matana l'kayin. It teaches that the bachar balmum, if it has a blemish, it's given to the kayin shlemetzinu b'chol ha'Torah, which we don't have a makar anywhere else in the Torah. That the bachar which goes to the kayin will still go to the kayin even if it has a mum. So state in Gemara, you know where we know that from? From the chayiyah. So what does Rabbi Akiva do? Rabbi Akiva yalef lei mi b'saram. The plural means chatam v'chad balmum. Rabbi Yishmael mi b'saram nahanach b'chayreis kamar. Rabbi Yishmael says when it says in the plural, it's talking about all different types of bechar. So says the Gemara. So now again we had a kasha poster of Tarfin, a conversation of Tarfin and Rabbi Yisrael. Rabbi Kiva jumps in. Rabbi Yishmael weighs in and says, Rabbi Kiva, you're wrong. So now says the Gemara, this final step, what's this machlekes? What's this machlekes? Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Kiva, Mamaika, Miflagi. Mar Savar Himenu v'davar achar Ravi Hekish. Or Mar Savar Hekish. Mar Savar Lavi Hekish. Rabbi Yishmael holds, hey men of davar acher, if we have something that's learned in the pasuk and something else learned from the Hekish, we put them together. Rabbi Kiva says no. If you're originally learning it from a Hekish, you can't then go and learn it elsewhere. So says the Gemara Bishul Mandam Lavi Hekish. I understand if it's not a Hekish, why? Yeah, you should do in the Almayed Kishem Shemazel Lefnai V'Lefnim Achas Lamala V'Shev Lemata Midam Apar. You do the same thing. But that's only according to the Mandamer, says the Gemara. On the last line, according to the Mandamer, that says that there is a Hakish. What are you going to say? Answers the Gemara, the Gamri Ba'adadi and the second Hekish are different Makaimais that are learned out one from another, and therefore it's not considered a Hekish that we're reusing again a second time. Teretz number 1, Teretz number 2, and we turn over the Yamud. Chutz Mipnei Mechad Zimna Gamar, that which is done Chutz, that which is done outside the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Mipneim is learned from that which is done inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim. All at once, it's all one limud, and therefore it's not considered two different steps. As Rashi in the second line points out, Kolaymar Nihinami Dakish Mekamis Kakish Behema Hoil Vehikish Soirach Penemu Afilachi Loy Damilahu Dalel it's not going to be the same thing as learning this double hekish, one hekish that learns to the next. Says the Gemara, second line. So now, Bishlam Laman Damar have a hekish. Now we flip it. According to Mandamar, says it's a real hekish. I know Dilchsim, Nimash Vaisechem, Taviu Lachem, Lechem Tenufa. From the place that you dwell, you should bring a bread for a waving. She'ain Tamalaymer Taviu. Do not have to say Taviu, you should bring. Uma Tamalaymer Taviu. So why did it say that? Kol Sha'ata Mevi Mimakam Lemakim. Acher Harehu Kazeh. It teaches whatever this lechem you bring from another place, from other karbanites, and the karban taida is like this. So we have one, we're learning out by the lechem on Shavuos from the regular stam karban taida. And therefore it says the Gemara Malahalan Isaroin Lechala. Just like by Shavuos, the bread's 1/10 and Isaroin is for each chalav. Kan Isaroin Lechala, so too by the karban taida. Imal Alan Shnei Esroinoi, Avkan Shnei Esroinim. Says the Gemara by Shavuos, it's 2 Esroinoi, so to here it should be the same. So Tamalomer, no. Tiena, it says it should be that is 1 Isaron for all of the 10 loaves. Lamda Asara, Lamanu Asara Lechametz. Says the Gemara, we learned to 10 for Chametz. Asara le'matzah minayin. There's 2 types of breads that are brought with the karban taida. So what do we do with the matzah, the unleavened breads? Tamalam al chalas lechem chametz. Neged chametz evi matzah. That the 2 have to be equal. So says the Gemara. But that's according to Mandamar. Says it is a hekish. Mandamar lo avi hekish Michael Meimar. Says the Gemara, you're right. Taviu yisera he. There's an extra word taviu. It's not a hekish, it's learned out from the extra word in the Torah. And finally, concludes the Gemara, the last of the karbanos is the karban Pesach. The uniqueness of the karban Pesach, that the karban Pesach has to be in Balayla, and the karban Pesach has to be in only at Chatzos. Says the Gemara Man Tana. Who is the Tana of the Mishnah that says the karban Pesach is only till Chatzos? And Rav Yossi Rav Elazar ben Azariah, he the Tanya. 12 lines on the bottom. The first one line is Elazar. Elazar ben Azariah Omer Nemer Kam Balayla Hazav Nemer Lahalan Vavarti Beretz Mitzrayim Balayla Hazav Balahalan Achatzos Avkan Al Chatzos. That's where we learned it out from. Amar Rabbi Akiva Look for Nemer Rachalta Ma'aseh B'Chipa Zavayin. Pasuk says you have to eat it fast Ad Shas Chipa Zayin, which shows us until the moment that things are rushing, which is until Alois. Says the Gemara, but if that should became Matam Labrayla Hazeh, if you have until Chatzos, what's the Layla Hazeh? Shiach, I would have thought, Yecholai Kachim. You would have thought karban Pesach is a regular karban, so it should have a din like all Kachim, which is one Echolim B'Yayim. That you eat, when do we eat karbanos? Primarily by day. So on that, Talmud Laimar, Balayla Yenechal, Ve'ino Yenechal B'Yayim, it's eaten by night and not by day, and therefore, that's the second shita. So who is the opinion that holds the karban Pesach is only until Chatzos? Elazar ben Azariah. Amar le Abaye, Omimai der Elazar ben Azariah Udaraisa. Says the Gemara, how do you know the Mishnah is going with Elazar ben Azariah? They only keep to Chatzos, and it's following the din deraisa of Elazar ben Azariah. Dama derabanan. Ularchik min aveira. Maybe really bad, Sam. You can eat the karban Pesach out of Biker. So why did the Mishnah say you can only eat it at Chatzos? It's the Rabbanon. And the Rabbanon would be saying this to distance you from coming close to Naveira. Responds Rav Yosef, Imkein, my Ella al Chatzos. If that was true, what does it mean? Only al Chatzos. Ella ki Hasam. Rather, it must be like it says over there, Ma'asav Daraisa. Afkan Nami Daraisa. Hadron Allah Ezel Mekaiman. Hopefully this is giving a little bit more flavor to our davening. We're supposed to say Zevachim every morning, all different karbanos, etc. We'll pick it up from the new parak, the 6th parak, a new Mishnah, the next year, B'siyata Dishmaya.